This show is undoubtedly a classic in the genre of American magical witch dramas. The story follows a powerful high-ranking witch who sealed her daughter's powers since childhood to protect them. However, with the arrival of hellish demons and the impending collapse of the world, Marisol resolves to unseal her daughter's powers and safeguard humanity with the power of the Charmed Ones. As the most powerful trio in history awakens, all kinds of demons and monsters come forward, attempting to kill the newly awakened Charmed Ones. The opening scene shows Marisol performing a spell to unseal the Charmed Ones. Just then, a strange icy fog pours in through the window, announcing the arrival of a hellish visitor. The demons and crows instantly retreat. Mel and Maggie return home from a party and are met with several crows as soon as they open the door. They quickly rush upstairs to the shattered window. Shockingly, their powerful high-ranking witch mother, Marisol, is dead. 3 months later, a woman finds Mel and Maggie, claiming she might be their sister. Macy even shows them a photograph. At that moment, a sudden bolt of lightning flashes across the sky, and the Charmed Ones reunite. But Mel and Maggie are bewildered, thinking she's here to claim an inheritance. They had no idea they had another sister. Annoyed, Macy turns and leaves. Feeling frustrated, Macy goes to a bar with a friend. In her agitation, the bottle she's holding flies out of her hand. Her powers have awakened. It's telekinesis, the ability to move objects with her mind. It's clear that their mother completed the ritual before her death, and the powers of the Charmed Ones are beginning to awaken. Meanwhile, the youngest sister, Maggie, joins a sorority and suddenly can hear other people's inner voices. It's empathy. However, Maggie is clearly frightened and quickly leaves. As it turns out, anyone she touches allows her to hear their inner voices. So, what is Mel's power? The scene shifts to Mel chatting with a friend. As her emotions flare up, everything around her instantly stops. Oh my, this is every man's dream power. Molecular immobilization. Mel is also shocked, but as soon as she steps outside, she's captured. The scene shifts again, showing the three sisters being tied up and brought back home by a man. Macy even uses her telekinesis to fling a globe at him, but he catches it effortlessly. The man briefly explains that they are the Charmed Ones, the most powerful trio in history. Naturally, they don't believe him. Mel says this man is Harry, the despicable, sleazy, shameless, dim-witted, and effeminate dean at their school. Harry doesn't mind. He snaps his fingers and instantly unties them. They are dumbfounded. Harry explains, "I am your witch advisor. In the future, I will guide you in awakening your powers. Your mother was a very powerful witch. To protect you, she sealed your magic when you were young." Marisol was in the process of lifting the seal. Maggie wants to know who the murderer is, but it is evident Harry doesn't know either. However, there was ice at the scene, suggesting it might have been ice demons. Harry then takes out a magical book. This is the Book of Shadows, left by your mother. The book foretells 3 omens before the disaster strikes. The first omen is the powerless gaining unworthy glory, referring to the 3 sisters who have leaped from mortals to becoming the saviors, the Charmed Ones. The second omen is the fall of a great sage, referring to Marisol and other slain high-ranking witches. The final omen is when the flowers of death bloom. It marks the day the source of all evil awakens, followed by the fall of the gods. Of course, this omen has yet to happen. Maggie's surprised. So Macy's really our sister? Harry confirms this, handing over the Book of Shadows to the 3 sisters. Harry says, "You can choose to become powerful witches or remain mortals, but you must all choose unanimously. If you refuse to become witches, all things related to magic will be erased. Don't worry, hell doesn't know you have awakened yet." After speaking, Harry teleports away. The 3 sisters go about their respective activities. Maggie goes out for a walk and encounters a dog. Just after greeting it, the dog on the other side was no ordinary dog. In the next second, the dog transforms into a hellhound and lunges at Maggie. Maggie rushes back home, her face scorched by the hellhound's saliva. Being a scholar, Macy deduces it's some sort of hydrochloric acid. "Are you here to rub salt in my wounds?" Maggie is speechless. "The dog bit me. Am I supposed to find a spell to bite back?" But Macy is suddenly struck with inspiration. Harry suddenly teleports in. "I told you to summon me if there's trouble. Why didn't you call?" He raises his hand and heals Maggie's burn. Harry looks grave. "I might have been wrong. Hell might already know you've awakened, and hellhounds always act with their masters. This means there's definitely a demon-possessed human nearby." Upon hearing this, Maggie immediately thinks of Lucy, the sorority president. It must be her. Harry starts to flip through the Book of Shadows. Macy excitedly rushes over. "We can neutralize it with baking soda." She demonstrates. That was too easy. Harry nods awkwardly but politely. They quickly connect this to the demon that killed their mother. Maggie wants to go out for some air. Usually, this means something bad is about to happen. Sure enough, Maggie is suddenly kidnapped. Macy quickly notices something is wrong. As the scene changes, Maggie's hood is opened and it turns out to be the sisterhood's welcoming ceremony. Meanwhile, Mel, looking for Maggie, gets a text message and heads over with some baking soda. Mel rushes in and sprays Lucy with baking soda. There seems to be a mistake. Meanwhile, Maggie shares a heartfelt gaze with a male classmate. It's Maggie's empathy. The demon reveals itself. Maggie struggles and kicks the demon away. As she tries to escape, the demon flashes in front of her. At the critical moment, Macy arrives, throwing a canister of baking soda at the man. The man falls to the ground, convulsing wildly as black smoke pours out. The demon likely never imagined dying from a box of baking soda. The man on the ground regains consciousness. They returned home and Macy was about to close the window. It looked like the ice demons that killed her mother. Macy anxiously confirms this with Maggie. Meanwhile, Mel is at a gathering, feeling a sudden chill. Her breath turned into mist as she exhaled. The school's water faucets all freeze. An old man appears behind her. It's her university professor. The old man transformed instantly, and he took Mel down with a single move. It's the ice demon. Macy and the others hurriedly arrive, and an ice demon kills a man with an ice spike. Another ice spike follows, but Macy uses telekinesis to deflect it. The third ice spike is blocked by Mel. Molecular immobilization. However, the ice demon is too powerful, and Mel can't hold out for long. Macy pulls out a spell she found. Maggie summons Harry. Harry first heals the unfortunate mortal, then takes the opportunity to ask the three sisters if they are willing to become witches. Of course they did, but the ice demon in front of them suddenly disintegrates, transforming into a cloud of ice fog that surrounds everyone. Harry instructs Macy to use telekinesis to move her sisters closer together. The three sisters must combine their powers to defeat the ice demon. Together, the sisters instantly dispel the ice fog, and the ice demon collapses. The three sisters stepped forward ready to kill the murderer of their mother.
Think I killed her? You poor, stupid girl.
Now, it's begun.
After speaking, the ice demon shatters into pieces. After this incident, Maggie and Mel accepted Macy completely, and Macy moved in with them. Mel finds their mother's Ouija board, said to communicate with the dead. They try it out.
Mom? Are you there?
And the Ouija board starts moving on its own.
Don't what? Harry?
Ladies.
Summoned, Harry instantly appears behind them, and the three sisters are clearly startled. Harry sarcastically comments on this method of summoning. What if I was in the shower? Seeing there's no immediate danger, Harry turns to leave, reminding them to stay away from the Ouija board. The spirits often lie and are very dangerous. As Harry leaves, the three sisters are left puzzled about whom to trust. The scene shifts to Macy's lab, where a janitor is mopping the floor. There is a black liquid on the shelf. The black liquid quickly possesses the janitor, only to abandon the host moments later, flowing rapidly into the ventilation system. Another new demon has arrived. Meanwhile, Mel takes their mother's book of shadows and finds Maggie and Macy. The book says the Ouija board is a legitimate way to communicate with the underworld, so she wants to try using it. However, Macy rationally believes they should first find a way to verify if Harry is lying. As they speak, the Book of Shadows opens on its own. They immediately decide to test Harry first. The scene shifts to Macy preparing a truth serum. Since they're all beginners, the smartest one has to make the potion for the first time. Maggie is getting ready to leave, as the sorority is visiting a comatose classmate at the hospital today. She's wearing gloves to avoid hearing her sorority sister's inner thoughts. Maggie quickly arrives at the hospital. Lucy asks everyone to hold hands and pray for their classmate. As soon as they make contact, even through the gloves, Maggie can read their thoughts, making a constipated face. As soon as Maggie made contact, on the other side, Macy returns to the lab to get the last ingredient for the truth serum. Seeing the mess on the floor, Macy is full of questions. A colleague mentions that a woman went crazy last night, claiming a blob of black liquid was trying to strangle her. The colleague thinks the woman seems mentally unstable. Macy's face grows serious, and she quickly visits the patient's room. Coincidentally, Harry is there too. Harry says he's erasing the woman's memories of the demon attack. We need to find this demon. It might be working with the ice demons, all coming for the charmed ones. What on earth is going on? It turns out the Ouija board started moving on its own. Mel spent the entire afternoon talking to the Ouija board and was shocked to discover her mother's spirit was really inside it. The Ouija board recounted many events from their childhood. Word for word, it really was her. Maggie was also surprised. She missed her mom so much. Just as they were about to communicate with the Ouija board, Macy tried to stop them. The Ouija board suddenly grabbed Maggie. Macy immediately used her telekinesis to throw the Ouija board away, but she used too much force and shattered it. Mel didn't care at all that Macy had just saved their lives. Macy said she had just seen Harry treating people attacked by demons, so maybe they should trust Harry. The Ouija board could really be a demon's trap, and she had already prepared the truth serum. They would know for sure if they just tested it on Harry. Coincidentally, Mel's friend Angela also came. Macy went up to say hello to Angela. Macy took the bottle of truth serum by mistake. In the next scene, Macy was on the phone with her colleague and unexpectedly learned that the woman attacked by the demon yesterday had died. Could it be that Harry wasn't saving her but silencing her? She was thinking about this when Harry walked in. Macy saw an opportunity to test Harry, so Harry drank the tea with the serum while Macy watched with anticipation, but since she picked up the wrong bottle, it clearly wouldn't work. Meanwhile, at home, the two sisters were trying to repair the broken Ouija board using the records from the Book of Shadows. Soon, Maggie successfully repaired it. The Ouija board immediately reacted again. Maggie quickly called Mel over, and they began chanting spells. As the spells were recited, mirrors around them shattered one by one. The mother and daughter were very happy to reunite. Marisol said she only had a few hours and that they needed to call Macy back quickly to reunite. Macy was with Harry. Marisol's expression instantly turned serious. She said, "I told you not to trust Harry. He's the one who killed me. His goal is to absorb your magic." Meanwhile, Macy and Harry were still staring at each other. The time was almost up. "All right, tell me, did you kill my mother or not?" Harry sensed something was off as he looked at the strange Macy in front of him. At that moment, Mel also sent a text about their mother's resurrection and the truth of her murder. Just as they were getting anxious, Harry teleported with Macy. Seeing the empty Ouija board and then looking at Marisol standing in front of them, Harry immediately rushed forward. Mel picked up the Book of Shadows and smashed Harry to the ground. Looking at their living mother in front of her, Macy's rationality was temporarily suppressed. She had so many questions to ask her. Why she abandoned her and why she hadn't visited her all these years. Marisol said she would tell her everything, but first, they needed to get the Prism of Souls. Only this item could trap Harry. The Prism of Souls was in an ancient mirror in Harry's office, and they needed the three of them to retrieve it. Before leaving, Maggie hugged her mother. Strangely, she couldn't read her mother's thoughts. Marisol said, "Your empathy is strong, but I am just a soul." The three sisters, guided by their mother, ventured into the ancient mirror to find the Prism of Souls. The three sisters passed through the mirror's surface and instantly entered a small space filled with mirrors. After searching for a whole day and night, they finally discovered a high platform that was visible right at the entrance. The Prism of Souls should be inside it. Macy and Mel immediately placed their hands on it, but Maggie hesitated, suspecting their mother was an imposter and that it might be a trap. However, Mel didn't care. She forcefully pressed Maggie's hand onto it. Macy picked up the prism, and the surrounding mirrors began to shatter. The small space was about to collapse without the Prism of Souls. They quickly chanted, "The Charmed Ones, the Charmed Ones, the Charmed Ones." All right, all three together, they held hands, and an exit instantly appeared. They took the Prism of Souls back home, and as soon as they opened the door, they saw Harry and Marisol fighting from the second floor to the first. Macy immediately controlled a dagger, pointing it at Harry. Harry said, "That's a shapeshifter. It wants to use the Prism of Souls to absorb your magic. That's what Prism of Souls really does." Marisol said Harry was lying and urged Macy to give her the Prism of Souls. Revealing a secret shared only with Maggie, Harry said, "Shapeshifters can read memories. Don't trust it." But Mel was convinced it was their mother. Seeing Maggie so certain their mother was fake, Mel hesitated. Marisol said, "Trust me. Think about our past. We were the closest." Mel was clearly affected. She took a step towards Harry. She raised her hand and picked up her dagger.
Mom would have never said that. She didn't play favorites.
Suddenly, the Marisol on the ground, her eyes turning white, came to life and kicked Macy flying. The demon drew a dagger, ready to stab Maggie. Mel immediately immobilized the dagger in midair. Harry said they needed to find a mirror to show the demon its own reflection, which would kill it. All the mirrors were already shattered. Mel couldn't hold on much longer. Fortunately, Maggie quickly came up with an idea. the scene shifted to Macy sitting dejectedly on the couch. Macy had never met her mother. Perhaps she was deceiving herself from the start. Mel picked up the Prism of Souls and handed it to Harry, clearly showing her complete trust in him. Macy also took out the liquid left by the demon in the lab. Looking at the black liquid inside, Harry's expression turned grave. He took the sample and immediately left. The Harbinger of Hell has come to Earth. This top demon from Hell was actually defeated by the novice Charmed Ones. Now, the Harbinger of Hell was securely bound by magical chains, and the three sisters needed to guard it until the High Priestess from the Elders arrived. It turned out that the Harbinger of Hell, after leaving the lab, had possessed Mel's friend Angela. Of course, they didn't know this yet and were still trying to find the Harbinger of Hell. Macy's coming home from work, and it looks like something's staring at her from behind. It was Mel's friend Angela. The Harbinger of Hell had already started its plan. At a crucial moment, Mel appeared. She had learned that her friend, who had been in a coma for over 100 days, had suddenly awakened, so she came to investigate. They immediately went to Angela's dormitory. Mel took out some magical cookies she had prepared in advance. If you're the Harbinger of Hell, one bite will reveal your true form. They all had their own motives, and after some false pleasantries, the Harbinger of Hell actually ate a cookie. The expected demonic transformation did not occur. Mel breathed a sigh of relief and then left. After dealing with Mel, the Harbinger of Hell quickly took out the cookie. The Harbinger of Hell opened the fridge and drank some tomato juice to replenish. They came home and Maggie greeted them with great pomp and circumstance. She was hosting a Halloween party and had invited 200 people to attend, one cookie per person, and they would find the Harbinger of Hell. At this moment, the woman calmly watched the Harbinger of Hell in front of her. Do you think this is a Halloween costume? The Harbinger of Hell finished eating and was still licking its fingers, savoring the taste. Mel sent a party invitation, and the Harbinger of Hell skillfully replied to the message. The party began, with Harry responsible for handing out the test cookies, but they didn't find the Harbinger of Hell. Meanwhile, 3 people outside had already been killed, all of them virgins. Harry explained that the Harbinger of Hell needed to restore its strength after possession, and a virgin's blood would expedite this recovery. Macy suggested using a protection spell to shield the house, ensuring that the demon couldn't get in and the people inside would be safe. They set to work. The Harbinger of Hell showed up brazenly. Mel even remarked on how cool the costume was. They quickly started casting the protection spell. As the shield began to spread and the spell was almost complete, it suddenly failed.
The Harbinger's inside.
Mel was about to use molecular immobilization. Harry immediately stopped her. The Harbinger of Hell is too strong. You can't immobilize it. You'll just freeze everyone inside, making it easier for the Harbinger of Hell to kill them. Nearby, Macy pulled out a headpiece and cut her palm. The Harbinger of Hell was indeed drawn in. They braced themselves, but it turned out to be Mel's friend Angela. They immediately united to cast a spell, but at the crucial moment, Maggie made a mistake, and the spell was broken. Macy turned and ran, with the Harbinger of Hell in hot pursuit. Fortunately, Maggie arrived just in time to knock down the Harbinger of Hell with a stick. They barely exchanged a few words before the Harbinger of Hell stood up again. Seeing the urgent situation, Mel cast a spell. The powerful Harbinger of Hell was captured just like that. The Harbinger of Hell grabbed a mouse, and it instantly turned into a dried corpse. The Harbinger of Hell intended to spread a virus and plague to hasten the awakening of the source of all evil. Meanwhile, the police arrived to investigate Angela's disappearance. Sensing trouble, Mel froze time. All right, let's get our stories straight first. Upstairs, the Harbinger of Hell was causing a commotion. A woman appeared, claiming to be an interior designer inspecting the upstairs area. This woman was actually Charity, the High Priestess sent to handle the situation. Charity gave them each a holy sword and told them to use the power of 3 to unite and kill the Harbinger of Hell tonight under the full moon. While observing the Harbinger of Hell, Charity cast a binding spell on it. The spell would wear off at the full moon. Until then, the Harbinger of Hell couldn't harm them. They needed to kill the Harbinger of Hell as soon as the spell wore off, or it would regain full strength, leading to significant trouble. Mel protested, saying, "You don't want to exorcise her, you just want to kill her. This is a human life." Charity explained that exorcism was only possible if her friend's soul was still present, but facing the Harbinger of Hell, her soul was likely already devoured, making exorcism unnecessary. Mel, however, was not convinced and brought out the Book of Shadows. The pages revealed a spell to check if Angela's soul was still intact. As the spell was cast, Angela's soul appeared, showing she hadn't been devoured. As Angela spoke, the Harbinger of Hell seized control again. "Great," said Mel. Mel immediately found Charity, saying Angela's soul was still there and asking for her help to perform an exorcism. Charity replied that the Harbinger of Hell was one of the top demons in hell and that there had been no successful exorcism cases. Missing the chance to kill it would be disastrous. Charity then walked away. When Charity returned with Harry and Macy to prepare, they found the place empty. Clearly, Mel had disobeyed her orders. Meanwhile, Mel and Maggie had taken the Harbinger of Hell to a warehouse. The Book of Shadows was blank, indicating no solution. Could there really be no way? Harry teleported in, learning that Angela's soul was still intact. Harry hesitated too. At that moment, Macy arrived. Though she had always supported killing the demon, she had changed her mind. The three sisters united, and the blank pages of the book began to reveal a spell. It was something their mother had left for them. Harry said their mother must have foreseen this moment and left the spell for them, as her ability was prophecy. Harry also encouraged them to proceed with the exorcism. Maggie was hesitant. "You said we should listen to Charity, but she hasn't approved." Harry gave a mysterious smile. "It's already approved." Harry had also thoughtfully brought the holy exorcism vessel, an old paint can. As the source of all evil awakens, the world is on the brink of collapse, and the demons of hell are eager to rise. On her deathbed, Marisol lifted the seal on the three sisters, awakening the charmed ones. The arrival of the Harbinger of Hell hastened the awakening of the source of all evil. The charmed ones now faced their most formidable opponent since their debut. Seeing the innocent girl possessed by the Harbinger of Hell, the group is determined to save her. Marisol had foreseen this event and left them an exorcism spell. However, as the full moon approached, Charity's suppression spell lost its effect. Maggie immediately used a compass to summon Charity. Charity emerged from a portal and quickly bound the Harbinger of Hell, then handed an exorcism artifact to the three sisters, but they refused. Harry said that Marisol had left a spell, and Charity was very surprised. However, the Harbinger of Hell was so powerful that there had never been a successful exorcism. Charity hesitated, but ultimately, she relented. Then, Charity and Harry stood on either side to firmly restrain the Harbinger of Hell. The three sisters recited the spell, and a strong wind suddenly arose around them. Maggie stepped forward and successfully connected with Angela through empathy. With their combined spellcasting and Angela's internal resistance, the spell succeeded. Angela returned to her true self, but at that moment, a police officer appeared and ordered them to surrender. Charity raised her hand and made the gun in the officer's hand disappear. Charity then took the container and sealed the Harbinger of Hell. When everyone came to their senses, they realized the officer had been killed. Charity told them to leave immediately while she dealt with the aftermath. Angela woke up from her bed with no memory of what had happened. Harry had erased that part of her memory. It was clear that the best way to protect mortals was to make them forget. Mel was also deep in thought. She had saved Angela, but an innocent officer had lost his life. In the end, they couldn't save everyone, and Mel felt a deep sense of unease. Meanwhile, Charity was holding the can of paint, planning to return to the elders. Just as she entered the elevator, she encountered a man. The three sisters save an unconscious man and take off his shoe, which is a sheep's hoof. Goodness, this wasn't a human. Harry said this was a satyr, the forest god of revelry and intoxication. After Harry's treatment, the satyr instantly awoke, and upon seeing the three sisters, he was delighted. There were rumors that the charmed ones had awakened to protect the world with the power of the Holy Maiden, and the satyr had come specifically to seek their help as a high-level demon had attacked him. Last night, while the satyr was in his bar, all the lights suddenly went out, and a shadow demon attacked him. The shadow demon took something from his body, and this missing holy relic was a shard of the underworld scythe. Macy was curious. The satyr smiled slightly, and suddenly, birdsong and the fragrance of flowers filled the air. This was a long story. In ancient times, Apollo killed the son of the god King Zeus, and Zeus imprisoned him in the underworld cage. That place held gods, humans, demons, and all magical beings. Apollo's mother could not bear her son being taken away, so she repeatedly struck the ground with her scythe. Eventually, the underworld cage cracked, and Apollo was freed. Zeus, in his fury, took the scythe and divided it into 3 parts, entrusting them to 3 guardians for safekeeping. The satyr's mother was one of these guardians. Harry's expression was grave. If the enemy found the other 2 shards and reassembled the scythe, the underworld cage would be broken. They would likely face a massive demonic jailbreak. Free demons were already difficult to deal with, and those imprisoned were even more vicious and incredibly powerful. The man on the other side is playing with the scythe fragment, and opposite him is the shadow demon that attacked Satyr. This man was the one who had hypnotized Charity and taken the paint can used to seal the harbinger of hell. At this moment, he was frustrated, for even someone as powerful as he could not break the seal of the paint can. Marisol's sealing spell was too strong. Even as a demon king, he could not open it. He instructed the shadow demon to quickly find the other 2 shards. He wanted to open the underworld cage and use the power of the demons to break the seal and release the harbinger of hell, accelerating the awakening of the source of all evil. Meanwhile, Mel was flipping through the Book of Shadows, finding the shadow demon's weakness in a restraining spell called Light of Thea. At the same time, the shadow demon had found the other shard guardian, Sela, and snatched the shard from her in a few moves. The 3 sisters also arrived just in time. As the 2 shards were lost, the underworld cage trembled once more, and all extraordinary beings sensed it. The shadow demon seized the opportunity to flee. Sela said that the shards had been vibrating recently, as if calling to the remaining pieces, seemingly wanting to reassemble on their own. Maggie, curious, asked, "So, are you a satyr too?" Harry rolled his eyes skyward. "Do I look like a hedonistic, drunken goat man?" Harry quickly introduced Sela as the great goddess of fertility. The 3 sisters immediately stood up to pay their respects. The charmed ones appeared, and 3 beams of holy light firmly sealed the area. They intended to use the Light of Thea to completely eliminate the shadow demon. It turned out that ever since the source of all evil began to revive, demonic activities had become more frequent. The charmed ones have awakened to fight against the evil forces. The Demon King also dispatched the shadow demon to collect the shards of the underworld scythe, hoping to reassemble it and release the demons imprisoned in the underworld cage. Macy said, "The enemy has already obtained 2 shards. We must find the last one first." The shards were attracting each other. They might have been crafted from a natural magnet. Just then, they were surprised to find the house surrounded by bees. Harry, surprisingly, was so frightened by the swarm of insects that his legs went weak. Macy said, "Bees navigate using magnetic fields. There's only one reason they would come here. The last shard is nearby." Maybe. Macy used her mind to open the door, and the swarm of bees immediately flew in. They followed quickly. They arrived at the attic, and sure enough, the bees gathered in one spot. Mel immediately froze time. Macy immediately used her mind to retrieve a box, and upon opening it, she saw the hilt of the underworld scythe. The underworld cage trembled once again. However, the hilt seemed to be attracted to something. Macy quickly pulled up the necklace around her neck, which was a key. The key was attracted to the hilt and instantly flew out and inserted itself into the hilt of the underworld scythe. Harry arrived late, taking the hilt with a solemn expression. "This must be Zeus's beacon," he said. Once the scythe was reassembled and activated by the beacon, it would have the true power to break open the underworld cage. Harry warned that the shadow demon could cut our power at any moment. "In the darkness, we're no match for him. We need to strategize carefully." Maggie cast a spell to create a fake shard, while the others filled the house with candles. Mel enchanted the candles so they would reignite even if blown out. With everything ready, the lights in the house suddenly went out. It had arrived. A shadow passed through the door in an instant. The shadow demon walked step by step towards the 2nd floor, and light vanished wherever it went. The shadow demon opened Maggie's trap, and the box transformed into a candle. The 3 sisters immediately surrounded the shadow demon, 3 beams of light sealing it in place. Just as they were about to eliminate the shadow demon in one strike, the shadow demon pulled out a shard of the scythe. The 3 shards attracted each other, knocking Mel down. The spell was broken. Maggie rushed forward to grab the shard, and the shadow demon lunged as well. They crashed through the floor to the 2nd level. After a fierce struggle, the shadow demon pulled out the shards again. In a moment of stalemate, the 3 shards finally combined into one. As the shadow demon was about to seize the scythe, Maggie sensed the pain within the shadow demon through her mind-reading ability. Taking advantage of this distraction, Maggie snatched the scythe, and Macy used her mind to teleport the scythe to Mel. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck, causing Mel to drop the scythe, which was taken by a woman who appeared out of nowhere. The woman instantly teleported away. The shadow demon also seized the moment to escape. Mel obviously knows this woman. Was she an enemy or a friend? What consequences would arise now that the underworld scythe was in her hands?